let's talk New York Giants. This is a bittersweet week for me and for a lot of fans. I wrote a very lengthy blog, 2,000 plus words, about the Eli Manning era. It appears as if it's come to an end, even though it really hasn't come to an end. I think everyone's, and someone made the joke on Twitter, people acting like Eli Manning died. He's still alive. He's still in uniform, hasn't retired. I really doubt he gets traded. He's gonna finish out the season in a Giants uniform, and I pose this as like an all-time best case scenario, and weirdly enough, the idea came to me via the 2001 Patriots. Not necessarily the same scenario, but similar. In that season, Drew Bledsoe, the starting quarterback for the Patriots, gets his clock cleaned on the sideline by Jets linebacker. I want to say Mo something, Lewis, possibly. He's done. He's hurt for an extended period of time. Tom Brady, the backup, comes in, leads the Pats into the playoffs, gets hurt during the playoffs. Bledsoe comes in, wins the game. They go to the Super Bowl. Brady wins the Super Bowl. I think the Giants, and this is how delusional I am as a Giants fan, but this is me playing fantasy role playing, because it's like a lot of people think the season's over. We're only 2 weeks in, but it's not looking great. Our defense is the worst. But then again, our defense in 2011 stunk among the league. I think it was bottom 5 in the league. Our defense in 2011, our 2007 defense in the playoffs was amazing. In the regular season, also not that great. So, maybe it is. We need 2 regular season weeks to gel as a defense. I don't know. I don't see it. I think they're in for a long haul. And I think that's also plays into what Dave Gettleman was saying. Everyone's giving Gettleman shit, and all right, I get it. But he said, let's follow the Chiefs formula, and the Chiefs don't have a great defense. The Chiefs defense is like getting burned a lot. They're giving up a lot of points, but they have Pat Mahomes and that offense who can put up a lot of points. So the theory is let's just score more points than the other team. And I think that's kind of what he was saying indirectly. At least that's the way I took it, is like, we just need a quarterback that can lead our offense to a lot of points, because our defense is going to give up a lot of points. But regardless, getting back to the Patriots like scenario, you can see a scenario where maybe the defense week 3 it clicks, and maybe they don't give up a ton of points. Maybe they still give up points, but not a ton of points. And maybe they make that critical stop, and Daniel Jones leads us on a win. And then we start to click and gel, and we make the playoffs as a wild card. And Jones has a weird, annoying injury that's not, going to keep him out for a long time. But for the rest of that game, Eli comes in with his cape, saves the day, wins the game. We go to the Super Bowl, and Daniel Jones wins. We get the three lie prophecy is fulfilled. It'll never happen, but I like to dream. I mean, we're already at the point in this season where I'm now looking up old Giants highlights and memories and clips just to relive something good and positive in my life. Usually that's saved for after the season, when, like February, like during the playoffs in January, or right around the Super Bowl, I'm like, oh man, remember Super Bowl 42 and 46 and 25 and 21, and remember this playoff game, remember this game. And I just I actually watched the game again. I'm already at that point. I was surprised when they named Daniel Jones the starter. I was surprised, because I think it's a little too early. And I think you're assigning blame to Eli. Eli didn't make enough plays in week 1 and 2. But even if he makes those plays in week 1 and 2, I still think you're 0-2. I really do, because this defense is the worst. And what sucks is Eli has to fall on the sword. I don't know that you win those games if Daniel Jones is the quarterback. I think you come close. maybe closer. But to blame him is absurd. And I wrote a very lengthy blog post about this, just showing you that Eli had two careers. He had the first half of his career from 2004, his rookie year, to 2011 when he won his second Super Bowl. And then he had the second part of his career, which was 2012 to 2019, which was, for the most part, a nightmare. It was the complete opposite of what the first half of his career was. He had a winning record, albeit not a great winning record. He only had one losing season during that first half of his career, and it was his rookie year when he went 1-6. After that, not one losing record. And 8-8 was the worst record he had. 2 Super Bowls, and I'm convinced that second Super Bowl, when he won that second Super Bowl, I think Jerry Reese got it in his head that this is a superhero type person. That because Eli had, the 2011 season for Eli was his best season. I think he had some 6 game-winning drives and fourth quarter comebacks. And I think Jerry Reese thought Eli Manning wears a cape. It don't matter who we throw out there around him. He will pull us out from the depths of hell and save the day every time. And that wasn't the case. That was the peak. That was the zenith. That was the pinnacle of his career. And I think Jerry thought, wow, this is what we're going to get every year. That year, 2011, they had the 27th ranked run game. Their defense was bottom 5. And Eli just kept, 6 game-winning comeback drives. 6. They were 9-7 that year. They could have been friggin' 3-13. 3-13. Now, say Manning doesn't win those come from behind wins, and the team goes 3-13. I think you have a lot of people calling for Reese's head. Maybe Coughlin might be in trouble because 2008 was their previous playoff appearance when they got bounced in the divisional round after getting home field advantage. Oh my God. 2009 didn't make the playoffs. 2010 didn't make the playoffs, but Eli put up some really great numbers because he had Steve Smith and did he have Hakeem Nicks? In 2009, yeah. Hakeem Nicks and Manningham. So he had a pretty decent receiving trio. Not great, but combined, they are, pose a threat. So he put up some really good numbers, and you start to see okay, we can start to rely on Eli to throw the ball. We maybe don't have to run the ball at all like we did in 2008 and in 2006 and 2005 when we had Barber and Brandon and all that jazz. And I believe if we go 3-13 in 2011, you start to see the GM be like, okay, Eli's not the problem, and we need to help him. Instead, Eli saves the day and completely masks the problems. And I wrote about this in 2017 when he might have been when Eli was benched, maybe before that, was Eli Manning masked the Giants' greatness, and he fooled, he fooled Jerry Reese into thinking that they had a team, that they had a good team, when in fact they didn't. And you can see that because the 2012 draft stunk. David Wilson was the number 1 draftee from that class, and he played a season. The next season he was out of the league with the neck problem. Who knows where the Giants would have gone if he didn't have the neck problem and he continued to play. It's maybe we would have made the playoffs 1 or 2 times, but it was all downhill 2012 and going forward. And then he drafts Odell, and Odell is a generational player. In 2014, Eli's numbers skyrocket. His production goes way up. And again, Reese is like, all right, nailed it. We got this. No, you don't got this. You still need an offensive line. You still need a defense. And he ignored those aspects of the team for so long, and so long that it did affect your quarterback and your star wide receiver, to the point where your star wide receiver thinks that the quarterback is a joke and is kind of throwing him under the bus. And it's like, Odell, dude, look at your fucking offensive line. Look at your defense. That 2015 season is the downside, or the complete bizarro version of 2011. 2015, your defense couldn't make the stops. They couldn't be the Eli Manning of 2011 and win games for you. 2016, we get Janoris Jenkins, Damon Harrison, Olivier Vernon, Landon Collins is in his second year, and they are able to make the stops, those game-winning stops. Because remember, that was pretty much all 2016. It was like our offense, for whatever reason, we don't have the ball with 2 minutes left in the game. The other team does, and the defense is a step up. And Eli didn't have a great season that year. Again, because I don't think that line was that good. So you have Odell, but you don't have a great offensive line. You don't have a game-changing running back. Shane Vereen is not all he's advertised, cracked up to be. Maybe you're not using him the right way. You don't really have a star tight end like Evan Ingram. So they went years. And so you can blame Eli all you want, all like the Cowboys fans and Eagles fans, Redskins fans, the entire rest of the NFL, partially Giants fans, and say that Eli has been a bum since 2012. Okay. I mean, sure, he's made mistakes. He made some bad decisions here and there, but I don't think he's to blame. I think because of what he did in 2011, Pro Football Focus, said that it was one of the top 10 displays by a quarterback of all time, that 2011 season. The season, regular season, postseason, no other quarterback has been able to put a team on his shoulders and win like Eli Manning did. And if you are a Eagles fan, Cowboys fan, whatever, who's an Eli hater and you can't say that, then you're fooling yourself. The guy was one of the best quarterbacks and was maybe the best quarterback in the league in 2011. Give him what he was dealt, the hand he was dealt. Almost no run game. I mean, that game, the NFC Championship game against the 49ers, he threw like 60 some odd times. I mean, he got hit almost 20 times during that game. I mean, clocked by very large men who are very strong and going at very high speeds. I don't know how he made it out of that game alive. One of the all-time performances. But you still have to surround him with someone, with something. No, he's not Russell Wilson. He's not Drew Brees. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's Eli Manning. And, I think you give him the right opportunity and he can prove himself. But when you run out the team that they ran out, that Jerry Reese put together, and I put a lot of the blame on Jerry Reese, especially at the 2015 season. So 2012 is when it really went downhill. It really stopped working for Manning. I think he still had a good year in 2012. 2013 was the year that he had like 20 some odd, 7 interceptions to 13 touchdowns. I mean, lots of freak interceptions, batted balls, tipped balls. I mean, freak interceptions that are just, it's not his fault, but you don't see that in the score box score. You just don't see that. You don't see an asterisk with receiver had both hands on the ball, let it slip through, and it went to a defender. I mean, they had no running backs in 2013. They brought in Peyton Hillis and brought back Brandon Jacobs. Peyton Hillis was like forever concussed. No offense to Peyton. I was like a big Peyton Hillis guy. Can't believe he made the cover of Madden. But ran through running backs. David Wilson was gone. Bradshaw was gone. And Giants offensive line gave up a lot of sacks that year. They had next to no receivers. Victor Cruz was your only threat. Again, tight end that they brought in, I think it was Brandon Myers, was kind of a dud. They just didn't have anyone on offense. Then they get Odell. And now they have a threat with Odell and Cruz. And then what happens? Cruz goes down with an injury that pretty much ends his career. I mean, he was out all 14, most of 15, and came back in 16 as like a shell of himself. The offensive line that they had during their Super Bowl runs, Kareem McKenzie, Chris Snee, Rich Soiber, David Deal, Sean O'Hara. I mean, these guys are Pro Bowlers. Who did you have after 2012? You saw Chris Snee leave. You saw David Deal retire. McKenzie had gone out. Will Beatty had suffered a torn pec. I mean, like they had no one. They had Justin Pugh and Weston Richburg were their two best offensive linemen. And Justin Pugh was always hurt. And Weston Richburg kind of just, burned out, was asking for too much money. And they said, no, thanks. We can do better. So, yeah, I think it's the offensive line and it's the defense. That defense in 2015, if they make stops, we go 10-6, we make the playoffs, who knows what happens? That, for me, the 2015 season was just like, man, so close to being 2011. And what do? We fire Coughlin. And then what do? We give Coughlin the player, we give McAdoo, this offensive guru, this offensive coordinator who's supposed to be a genius, who worked with Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay, his time in Green Bay, and he's been given the credit for all the numbers that Eli's putting up with Odell, even though it's pretty much Odell, for being honest. And he's given credit, and they don't want him to go to the Eagles because the Eagles were courting him. And so they pushed Coughlin out, and they make McAdoo the coach. And I guarantee that's when it was like 2012 was the beginning of the decline for Eli. And then if you look at right after the 2015 season, it was boop. That was it. That was the cliff. And he just fell off a cliff. Tom Coughlin was like a dad to him. And I didn't think it was that important. I was naive. I was stupid. I thought Tom Coughlin's just a coach. And this old coach is out of touch. He's lost his touch. This team is not responding to him. A lot of people were saying that. And it turns out that then you end up watching Tom Coughlin's press conference where he's announcing his retirement, quote unquote. And he's looking at Eli, and Eli is like crying in the front row. And you're like, oh boy, we just made a major mistake. Because Eli doesn't have the same relationship with Ben McAdoo that he did with Tom Coughlin. And he tried, and Ben McAdoo stressed and emphasized getting the ball out of Eli's hands. Why? Well, partially because he thinks his philosophy is you get the ball in the hands of the playmakers quicker, they can make plays earlier before the defense can react, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, he did that because there was no offensive line. He had to. Eli had no protection. He had no time to let plays develop. And so they thought, you have to get the ball out of your hands in under 3 seconds, closer to 2 seconds. So you get a lot of short shit that once in a while Odell can break to the house. And what you see in 2016, Eli had one of his worst seasons. Sure, we went 11-5. We went to the playoffs, but that offense stunk. Let's not sugarcoat it. I don't know if the numbers show it, but like that defense was the second best defense in the friggin' league. And our offense, I don't know how the defense did that because the offense was never on the field. 3 and outs. Put a lot of pressure on the defense, and defense rose up and it was one of the best defensives I've ever seen in my life. And after the horror and the tragedy and the trauma of 2015, where we blew 5-6 games in the final minutes, you had the similar feeling in 2016, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we made a stop and won. Oh, we made another stop and won. Oh, we made another stop and won. And you just came to expect it. But what happens? That continues in 2017. And we blame Eli again in 2017. He lost Odell. He lost Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard, maybe one other wide receiver. All his top receivers gone. His running back, Paul Perkins, just lost his mojo. And it's mostly because, guess what? The offensive line stinks. John Jerry is your starting guard. Marshall Newhouse was starting at tackle at one point. Bobby Hart is starting at tackle. These players are average to below average offensive linemen. They're not Sean O'Hara and Chris Snee and David Deal and Kareem McKenzie and Rich Soybert. They're not those guys. And it showed. And 2017 was a nightmare. But 2011 could have been 2017. 2011 could have been 3-13. And that was the beginning of the end. It's just hard. It's hard because I've been his biggest fan and I've been his harshest critic. But like, he got benched in 2017 for Geno Smith. Ben McAdoo went to him and said, hey, we want to continue your consecutive start streak. What do you think about starting the game? And then we bring in the backups when the game gets out of hand, probably. Although he might have made it sound more ceremonial than that. Then it was just a gesture, like you'll take one snap and then we'll take you out. And it's like, I don't know about that. But I wasn't outraged by that. The team was already eliminated from playoff contention. And as much as Eli wants to play and says he has to be out there and he loves to win games, dude, these wins are meaningless. I know you love the game of football. I know you love to win. Let's just pack it up, dude. Let's find out what we have in Davis Webb. I don't know. They should not have started Geno Smith in my mind. Maybe you start Davis Webb, and if he shits the bed, then it's like you go to Geno Smith and you see what you have with Geno, because you kind of know what you already have with Geno, but maybe you think a change of location might do him well. I don't know. I would have put in Davis Webb because it's like, this is the next guy. This is supposedly your future. You put Davis Webb in and see what he's got. So I wasn't mad at the move per se. I thought, why are we starting Eli Manning? Well, how bad would people feel if Eli Manning actually did get hurt because that team stunk and the offensive line was horrible? And it's like, what if he gets clocked and tears an ACL or Achilles or something really bad happens to this guy in a meaningless game? You would feel like shit. Get him out of the game. Hey, let's come back in 2018 when we're retooled back to health, fully healthy. So yeah, maybe McAdoo saw something and got it right and knew that Manning's days were over or numbered. Okay, maybe we can give him credit for that. But maybe it also was McAdoo's shitty offense combined with Jerry Reese's lack of scouting and roster building and talent management. It can be all those things. So as much as we want to blame Eli, it's like he didn't have a team to work with in 2017. But, then what do? You don't start Davis Webb. You continue to start Eli Manning. You don't know what you have in Davis Webb. And what do you do in that draft in 2018? You draft Kyle Lauletta, a fourth rounder of Richmond, which says to me, and I guess McAdoo might have mentioned this, Davis Webb is not your guy. So you whiffed on a guy in the third round, a quarterback in the third round, like whiffed. If you're not even willing to give Davis Webb reps in the regular season, you have whiffed. And I thought Geno Smith could have been like the Kerry Collins-esque type quarterback where it's like a little bit more of a veteran, been in the league a couple of years. Maybe he's gotten over the yips from his earlier years. He's matured and he can be the bridge. 2 to 3, 4 year bridge between, Eli to the next franchise quarterback. He can give us average quarterback play while we find our next franchise quarterback. And that was completely not the case. Geno stunk. Although I don't know that he didn't enter in the best circumstances and we didn't give him much of a chance, but whatever. You don't give Davis Webb any reps. And then Webb looks like absolute trash in the 2018 preseason, and you cut him. And I guess rightfully so. But what did you see in Davis Webb? They spent a 3rd round pick on him thinking he'd be the next future franchise quarterback, and he didn't even make it 2 seasons. And he's gone. And now Kyle Lauletta, you draft in 2018, he gets arrested, and he's supposed to be something you can maybe turn to in the future. He gets cut this preseason. And all the while, you are not drafting any offensive lineman that can help you outside of you made a 1st round pick on Eric Flowers instead of Todd Gurley. Yikes. And Eric Flowers turned out to be one of the biggest busts in NFL history. And I cannot believe he's still starting somewhere. I think he's a guard for the Skins. That was your left tackle. Your left tackle is your most important position on the field. And that guy sucked out loud. D-F grade. And that's the guy protecting your 2-time Super Bowl MVP quarterback. I mean, how am I supposed to chip with that going on? How am I supposed to play football with that left tackle going on? You didn't give Eli a chance. You failed Eli. 100% failed Eli from 2012 on. You failed him. You didn't give him a running back until 2018, Saquon Barkley. All-time running back. That is the move to do. But if 2017 was such a nightmare, and if McAdoo is so opposed to Eli and sees the cracks in the foundation and says he's not the same player he was in 2011, and McAdoo wants to move on, why are you drafting a quarterback in the 3rd? And why are you not doing what they did this year and draft a quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in the 1st? Pre-draft, leading up to the draft, I became warmer and warmer to Saquon Barkley. Everyone wanted them to take a quarterback. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen. You got to take a quarterback. You can't, I don't know. I get very, upset with Eli, and I've been so critical of his play, which is so, not right, because I have no right to criticize. Should be the title of this podcast. But God damn, man, you can't really blame him. The 0-2 start is not on him. Seeing how this defense performs, they'd be 0-2 regardless. And the offense moves the ball, but they're not scoring points. So yes, that's on Eli. He's the captain of the offense, and he's got to score points. But he can't kick the field goals. Missed field goal. He can't catch the balls. Evan Engram wide open over the middle, goes right through his hands. Get open. Protect, the offensive line is good this year. So here's the deal. You finally gave fucking Eli Manning an offensive line. You finally gave him a running back. Why did we re-sign him? Why didn't we cut him, save some money? Because you got him the things that he needed to succeed that are 7 years overdue. An offensive line and a star running back. And you finally gave him those 2 things. And what happens? Golden Tate suspended 4 games, Sterling Shepard concussion, Darius Slayton hamstring, Corey Coleman ACL. I mean, the only thing I can say is, okay, why did we trade Odell? If we still had Odell, would we have these problems? Well, if you still had Odell, you wouldn't have Kevin Zeitler. I don't know who you have at right guard right now if it's not Kevin Zeitler. I guess maybe you put Spencer Pulley in there. Is Spencer Pulley playing at the same level as Kevin Zeitler? I don't think so. Is the offensive line as good? No. Are you able to run the ball like they have? 7 yards, 8 yards a clip with Saquon? No. Is Jabril Peppers Landon Collins? No, not yet. But you're gonna pay Landon Collins $10 million plus a year to stop the run and not cover? And you cannot already rule that a bad trade. You can't say the Browns fleeced Gettleman just yet, dude. You have no idea what you have in Dexter Lawrence and O'Shane Ximines. Ox. Those two guys could be Pro Bowlers. So you got 2 Pro Bowlers for 1. You just don't know yet. 2 weeks, guys. 2 fucking weeks. Who knows what Betcher's got cooked up? Maybe he simplifies the game plan. Maybe he says, Baker, I want you playing press on these motherfuckers, and I want you to stick them and keep them at the line and don't let them go. And maybe that changes the whole thing. Janoris Jenkins calls out the pass rush after the Bills' loss. Says, I can't cover a guy for 10 seconds. And Lorenzo Carter was like, yeah, no shit. We need to get better at a pass rush. So they know what they've got. They know what they got to do. You didn't give Eli enough time. What the hell were you expecting in 2 weeks from Eli Manning? Given the defense that we have. Now, it's totally different if you have a defense and say that first week is not 35-17 or whatever the hell it was. If that first week is 20-17, 21-17, and that second week is not 28-14, it's 21-14. 20-14, 17-14. If any of these games are a scores difference, field goal, touchdown here, I get it. I get it. I mean, I don't fully endorse it, but I think you have to give Eli more time. You have to. It's 2 weeks. Bills have one of the best defenses in the fucking league, and we ran it on them and put up yardage and just not points. The Cowboys just had a bunch of missed opportunities. We're also not full strength in the receiving department. Shermer's play calling hasn't really been stellar. So, Eli falls on the sword and takes it with class as he always does. But to say that this is the end of an era, I don't think so. I don't know. I got a feeling something is going to happen down the line here, and we have not seen the last of Eli Manning. And all these tributes and memorials are going to be missing one little section. That's the final chapter where Eli shows he's still got a little something in the tank for the New York Giants. I love the guy. I know he gets hated on nonstop. I had to listen to these fuckers on Barstool. Yikes. That's my cue to wrap it up. These guys on Barstool Radio today on the Yak just like hammering away at Eli Manning. It's like I guess he's an easy target, but guess what? He's also Easy E, and that's the shirt I'm wearing right now. Easy E. If you can see the video, holding his 2 trophies, and that's how I'm going to remember him. Before the Giants and Jerry Reese and management allowed this to happen to him, just didn't surround him with talent. Didn't give him the help that he needed, and not say ruined, but like really put a major dent in what was an all-time career. First ballot Hall of Fame, not first ballot Hall of Fame. Does it matter? He's a Hall of Famer. He's going in the Hall of Fame, and to say that he shouldn't, if he stopped playing after that 2011 Super Bowl, does he get in? Probably, yeah. Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I still think there's something left to give for Eli Manning, and I think it's going to happen. I really do. I cannot see him going the rest of this season not seeing a single snap. I think they got something planned. I think it's going to be big. It's going to be real emotional. So from Eli Manning's harshest critic, this is me saying I love Eli Manning. And I'm already watching like his highlights, his most memorable moments, biggest comebacks, and just taking it all in. He's not going anywhere. And I said this in the blog, like he's not going anywhere. He's going to be very visible. He's going to be mentioned every broadcast for years to come. He's going in the Ring of Honor. They should retire his number. And I hope I don't see it happening, but maybe I hope he becomes a part of the Giants organization, continues with them, and hopefully imparts his wisdom, speaks up, and, we'll see. All aboard the Dan wagon. Danny Dimes, it is your time. And I can only hope you pull off a quarter, a half of what Eli Manning has done, because that will be successful. We're not asking for a lot. Kerry Collins got us to a Super Bowl. Jeff Hostetler. And I think we've got something in Daniel Jones. I was very bummed when we picked him, and because I believed everything I read and saw and heard secondhand. I didn't watch the tape. I didn't listen. But now we've got someone who's better than expected, according to a lot of people. And now we get to put him to the test. And now we get to see, hey, this isn't just Eli's clone. It's a different version of Eli. Eli 2.0. And I think he's got big things that he can do for us. Don't know that, I'd like to see us make a run, but I think we're going to stick with 5-11, 6-10 as the record. But, oh boy, if he can adapt to the game speed, how things are different in the regular season, watch out, dude. Because my man's got legs. He can move. He's not afraid to throw the ball. So, Eli Manning, you will forever be in our hearts and minds. I know everyone's laughing at that because it's like one grown man talking to another grown man who's the same exact age as me. But I've grown up with him. I see, like, it's like looking at me. I feel like I am him. And I know that's egotistical, narcissistic, but it's like I see him out there and I feel like I'm watching myself. And that's why I'm very hard on myself. And that's why I'm hard on him. But I mean, you have to appreciate everything that he's put up with. Not a fan. I wish he was more fiery and emotional, to be honest. I'd just be like, you know what, fuck you. But that's just not him. So it is the end of an era, regardless. But I don't think the credits haven't rolled just yet.